This single book has got to be the dumbest thing I have ever read. Let's talk about it. Hello and welcome to my review of Rabbits. I don't know how much I want to talk about this book because I don't really want to give away its secrets, just like the book doesn't. I think the story and the world of this book is so much fun and never gave me a second of doubt that it would be a fun ride, but that doesn't stop me, however, by saying that it was a really goofy book. A buttload of pseudoscience placed in an ARG type game. The game, to be exact, actually. I've always loved this type of stories, and I usually watch them unfold in YouTube videos like the Cicadia 3301 or a very in-depth FNAF theory from MatPat or something. Like that FNAF book that you had to take a bunch of letters and then put them into a cipher just to figure out the kid's name. Like, I love that shit. This is fun and exciting for the concept if it was done right. But I feel like Kay, the hero or heroine of the story, it's kind of a... it's just kind of a single metachlorian away from being a Mary Sue. You see, we never get to really know who Kay is. It's left to your imagination whether it is a male or female voice in your head. And you kind of put your own visuals on what you think Kay is, who you think Kay is. Thankfully, I listened to the audiobook, so my choice was picked for me, which I think is the worst missed opportunity. Yeah, the author says that it should have been a girl, but I feel like the figuring it out if it was a guy or girl in your own head gives it more of a layer of something to question about the story. And they should have had an audiobook that was a masculine and feminine voice for the protagonist. That doesn't happen. Anywho, the story is about Kay, a strong, independent woman, or at least in my headcanon, that has the ability to find connections in the world that is a very similar world to ours. Within this fantasy land, there are no connections that are just coincidences. We find our protagonists excited to get themselves involved in a series of coincidences. This story brings us into a world where the fun of pseudoscience is a reality, and the pseudoscience can bend the will of the multiverse for the players. If the game goes one way or the other, it is all in the name of pseudoscience. Apparently, if you get the physical version of this book, there are clues to play the real Rabbids game. If I believed any of this was real, I would probably go insane, but I feel like it would be a fun ARG to get into. Back to the book. Scorpio as a man, by my calculations, is the catalyst of this game starting within the book, as he tells our protagonist to fix the game before it begins, knowing that Kay would play, and if you play the game, if you win the game, you save the world. That was said like 20 times. That is the dumbest sentence I have ever heard, but it's constantly reminded to us that that's what we want to do. Play the game, save the world. Okay. I'm sorry I gotta pick fun at this, too, but I feel like a lot of what happens to Kay just kind of falls into their lap. I feel this story loves to not give explanations to the pseudoscience, but also not explain anything at all. It's like Urikoshi just told us about Ice 9 and Schrodinger's cat, and then stopped the story after the second death in 999, leaving the rest of the mystery to us to be solved by the readers. What is happening? I actually love that the game is left ambiguous, and it's kind of left to you to figure it out. Or, in reality, let Kay figure it out, because we don't have enough visuals to know what's happening. What I don't like the most about this book is the characters themselves. I feel like a lot of them have surface thoughts and opinions, and they just say them. They really don't have anything going on behind those eyes. Chloe does this thing in the book, where she's like, I'm mad at you for playing the game. But then the author's like, oh shit, wait, I actually needed her to progress the story. Oh, okay, I'm back in. We're gonna do the story now. We're gonna play the game. This isn't Jason Statham, where the character needs to just barely be against it, so that they can jump back in and go, there's a job to be done.
You say there's a job to be done. What's the job? I told you I work alone. Who's in the crew? You have no idea what I'm capable of.
And most of their jobs were fun to follow. Even though without the visual aspects of anything, we don't really understand how they're getting to their conclusions. Most of the time in this book, Chloe and Kay are hanging out and kissing, and then, randomly, Kay figures out a clue that they saw 4 days ago on a CVS receipt stuck to the back of a walrus on the shitty cam recording of a movie that just so happens to have Jeff Goldblum in it. Okay, so one of those things that I just sit in that string of shit actually happened in the book. For those who have never read the book, put it in the comments. Guess what the hell happened? Because one of those things is real. All of it is stupid, but one of them happened. One of them really happened. One thing that really pisses me off about like halfway through the book, Kay just decides now that Chloe is on her side and is willing to play rabbits with Kay, asks Kay 10 times not to play without her because she wants to play with her. And instead of making the rational choice of not going down a back alley and then grabbing and moving multiple dumpsters, she ignores multiple of Chloe's calls and just goes and does it herself. Like, what? Then now, obviously Chloe is on her side. But for the rest of the book, she lies about things constantly. Chloe is already in on the game and already knows that it's bugging you, and it's bugging her too. She's not going to stop you from playing the game. Just tell her that you don't believe David Bowie is alive. Eventually, they go and get to the end of the game, right? And Chloe disappears for no reason other than the random conflict of her old friend kissing her. Like, no, I don't think we needed that plot twist. I don't think we needed her old friend to believe that they were married. All that does is go, oh, the multiverse is real because she doesn't remember. But it doesn't matter. That doesn't add anything to the context of the story. I don't know what this was for. The ending is kind of anticlimactic, but I knew it was going that way, and it was a fun ride nonetheless. I really didn't need the explanation of like the random red herring that they throw at the end. There was no reason for them to do that. I love the idea that, major spoilers by the way, that this whole game is all by that lady making the Byzantine game engine. And they don't even remember that the door is open thing means that the game is happening. I find that very interesting, and I love that. Honestly, though, even with all the random shit going on, it kept me interested and left me wanting more. I think that probably after another 5 book tangents, I'll go back and read the second book in this series. It was a fun book, and if you don't look into it super hard and you think you just want to have a quick pickup, well, shit, that happened kind of book. Honestly, this book is probably perfect for anybody that has ADHD. Don't just pick it up if you believe anything that you read, because this is some wild shit. Maybe a 6 out of 10, maybe a 5 out of 10 out of a bad day, maybe a 4 out of 10, I don't know. It was interesting. I'll give it a 5. It kept me interested enough to never put it down, but it wasn't the best read that I've had, especially coming off of Red Rising and coming off of like wanting to reread Annihilation. It's not giving me the same happiness, the same want, I guess. It was a fun read. Even with the weird shit that it tries to pull off, it was fun. You should go read it. It's a fun, goofy time. Have fun. Be safe. I'll see you soon. Smooches.